David is 42, a marketing manager in Portland, father of two, and he volunteers at his kids' school every other Friday. One Saturday morning in March, he's at his neighborhood cafe with the paper open and a clipboard by the register, a petition to expand homeless shelter capacity in Portland. He signs it without thinking twice, because of course the city needs more beds. 5 months later, a Tuesday evening in August, David is sitting in a city council meeting 3 blocks from his house. The agenda item is a 200-bed shelter proposed for the old office building on his street. David stands at the public comment microphone and says he has concerns: safety, traffic, the kids who walk past that corner every morning. A different petition is going around the room, 250 signatures opposing the shelter, and David's name is on that one too. Same person, same city, same issue. How does one man sign yes in March and no in August? Ask David and he'll give you an answer, and it won't sound crazy. It'll sound like the most reasonable thing you've heard all week. In principle, yes, we need more shelters. I meant that when I signed it, I still mean it. But you have to understand, our elementary school is 2 blocks from that building. My daughter walks past it every single morning. It's a safety question, that's all this is. He'll tell you about property values, about how the neighborhood already has a parking problem, about how the infrastructure wasn't designed for that kind of foot traffic. And none of this sounds like selfishness, because it isn't. It sounds like a father doing math about his own street. We all know this math. We support the draft as a country, but we'd rather our own son not get called up. That's not hypocrisy, that's a protective instinct so old it doesn't need explaining. The big picture and your picture don't always fit in the same frame, and anyone who's ever been a parent or a homeowner or a neighbor knows this already. So David's reasons make sense, and if you'd been sitting next to him at that council meeting, you probably would have nodded along. But here's where it gets strange if you pull back far enough to look at the pattern. David says traffic is the problem, so neighborhoods with great transit access should be fine with a shelter, but they aren't, and they fight just as hard. He says safety, so neighborhoods that already have low crime rates should feel less threatened, but the data runs the opposite direction. The safer the area, the louder the pushback. He says saturation, that his neighborhood already has enough burden, so neighborhoods with almost no homeless services should welcome the first one, except they don't, and their petitions look identical to his. Northwest Portland opposes the shelter. The Pearl District opposes a different one. East Portland, where the median income is $30,000 less, opposes another. 3 neighborhoods, 3 different sets of reasons at the microphone, and the same outcome every single time. Researchers at the Furman Center in Stanford have looked at this pattern across dozens of cities, and what they found is uncomfortable. The reasons people state at public comment do not predict whether a neighborhood will oppose a project. One variable does: how close the project is to where they sleep at night. Think of it like patients refusing a medication. One says it's the side effects, another says it's the taste, a third says the dosing schedule is impossible. All different reasons, but every single one refuses. At some point you have to wonder whether the real reason is something none of them named. Maybe we've been asking the wrong question this whole time. We kept asking why those neighbors are opposed, as if the answer lives in traffic studies or crime statistics or zoning maps. Try a different question. What changes for the same person when the issue gets close? David is one man. He didn't move between March and August. He didn't get a new set of values or a different political outlook. He didn't become selfish over the summer. But March David and August David gave opposite answers to the same question. He didn't change in 5 months, something else did. There are 2 chairs inside David, and he sits in both of them every single day without noticing. One is the citizen chair, the chair he's in when he reads the morning paper, when he answers a poll, when he signs a petition at the cafe counter. It's the chair you sit in for the city, for the country, for the world beyond your front door. The other is the resident chair, the chair he's in when he leaves the house, drops his daughter at school, walks the dog past the corner store, checks the parking situation on a Friday night. It's the chair you sit in for this street, this block, this stretch of sidewalk your kids know by heart. Most days, both chairs sit quietly inside him, and he just feels like one person with one set of beliefs. Saturday morning in March, David is in the citizen chair. From that chair, what does he see? A city with a crisis. Numbers in a headline, photographs from neighborhoods across town. The cost of compassion is invisible from here or abstract at best, a line in a tax bill, a vague notion of social responsibility. From the citizen chair, the answer comes easy. Of course we need more, of course. Tuesday evening in August, a proposal lands on his block and the chair shifts underneath him without a sound. He didn't choose to move. He just slid into the resident chair. From that chair, what does he see? His daughter's walk to school, the cafe where he knows the barista's name, the park where his son practices soccer on Thursdays, parking, home values. The dog walk loop. Now the cost isn't a line in a budget, it has a face, a smell, a time of day. From the resident chair, the answer comes just as easy. No, not here. David never noticed the switch. He tells himself what we all tell ourselves in principle and in practice are different things. And here's what matters, both answers are real. March wasn't a performance and August isn't a betrayal. He meant yes and he meant no. Two genuine responses from the same man, depending on which chair the question landed in. The trouble isn't that he has two chairs, the trouble is that his brain treats them as one, so he never catches the switch. In both moments he feels consistent, principled like himself. We do this too. We donate to a homeless charity every month and then avoid the eyes of the man sitting outside our building. Not two different people, the same person in two situations. Writing the check, we're a good person. Crossing the street, we're a busy person. Both feel completely like us in the moment, and the contradiction stays invisible from the inside. That's not a flaw, that's just how the wiring works, David's wiring and ours. Here's the pattern, and it's not only about shelters. Compassion works at a distance, up close the math begins. We don't have one self sitting in one chair, we have two chairs and we never feel ourselves switching between them. Climate change, immigration, tax policy, a halfway house, a wind turbine, a bus depot, whatever the issue, the same person gives a different answer depending on which chair the question finds them in. The citizen chair says yes, because from far away the cost is invisible and the principle is clear. The resident chair says no, because from up close the cost has a face and the principle gets quiet. This isn't a character flaw and it isn't limited to bad people. It's the gap between the self that reads the paper and the self that walks the street, and nearly all of us live in that gap without ever seeing it. David will go back to the cafe next Saturday. He'll read the paper. He'll still believe Portland needs more shelter beds and that belief will be real. He'll also show up at the next council meeting and say no again, and that answer will be real too. David isn't a hypocrite. He's one man who doesn't know he's sitting in two chairs at once. Sit in those chairs and anyone says what he says. Imagine you live on his street. Your daughter walks past that same corner every morning. 5 months from now, a petition with 250 signatures lands on your kitchen table. Your name is on it too. Not because you're a hypocrite, because this is how people are built.